Hi, and welcome to Slick Willy Fly. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a very Slick Willy version of a spent spinner. This has a little bit more details on the bottom, but it's still a super simple tie. Very few materials, fits all the Slick Willy criteria. So let's get in on it. What I'm going to use is, I'm going to go with a size 12 hook, just so that it'll be a little bit easier to see in the video. But these can be tied in multiple sizes. I tie them in multiple colors. I like using all the natural colors, you know, blacks, browns, tans. So let's just jump in on it. What I got for thread is I got 16 Vivas. And again, I like to match the color of my thread to the color of the fly that I'm using. So in this particular fly, we're going with a little bit of brown because I'm going to be in the browns today. So I'm using a synthetic quill for the tail that is fairly new to me, but I think I like it. I don't really have a lot of history with this. I find that the hardest part has been taking off just a few. And when I take them off, I feel like the tips are definitely aligned, so I use them right away. I'm going to give it about a hook shank. And again, 2 loose wraps like everything I do. Making sure that they're sitting exactly where I want them, which they are. And now I'm going to carefully just wrap up the hook because I want them to stay nice and secured. I want to be able to catch more than one fish with this fly. And once I think I have them fairly secured, because I'm using 16 aught thread, not really building much of a body here. I'm going to come all the way back to the tie-in point, once under, and then, which helps really splay them, and then once over. And now I'm good. So here's where it gets pretty cool. For the body, I'm going to use deer hair. I'm using just regular deer hair. This is a pretty banged up patch, but you see what I'm using. And I think that you don't need a lot, and I don't really want the ends super aligned. I don't really want them super staggered either, but I think that they come off just the way I want them if I'm careful in how I grab them. See that? They're not really perfectly aligned, but they're not crazy off either. So I'm going to just pinch the tips, and I'm going to remove all the shorties. So what I'm doing with this is I'm basically giving this a little bit at the end of my fly, and it's going to also segment the body. So it's a pretty cool little trick. I put it right at the end. I'm going to give this a couple of loose wraps. You know, the pinch and wrap is the pinch and catch technique here is really quite useful. Just like that. Nice and coming hard, and it does splay a little bit, but I like that little splay at the end. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that's on there nice and hard. I pull it all up, come under, lay it back down, and do a body segment. Just like that. Nice and hard. Bring them all up, come under, and now we'll lay it back down. And now I do another body segment. And as you do this, you'll get better at doing this so that they come out where you want them. And actually back that off. I think that got a little bit too far in that first body segment. So I'm going to come back, put a little bit smaller body segment in, just like that. because I do want to get a third body segment in. I'm going to come under, lay it back down, and put a third body segment, and now I think that's enough of a body. So I can capture all of these, give them a good twist, and cut them off. Just like that. Perfect. So I've got my tail, I've got my body. So the next step is I want to put a little bit of this yarn. I like to make them a little bit too long. You know, I have these in every color imaginable. They're, you know, it's just floating yarn, polypropylene. I have them in gray, yellow, white, green. But I think the color that I mostly use is actually white. So I've got a piece here that's obviously too long. I'm just going to put it on the hook, secure it right where I want it, nice and hard. Start to turn it the way I want them to sit, and start coming in with some X wraps. In both directions, just like that. So I got it the way I want it, and again, it's way too long. I know it's way too long. The point is just to get it on the hook. All right, and you can kind of just like start to get it out of the way, because now I'm going to bring in my legs. And for the legs, I'm going to use a little bit of winter deer hair and my stacker. These I do want them to be kind of stacked. And again, you don't need a lot. It's a little pinch. Before I put them in the stacker, I'm going to go ahead and pinch and take out all the shorts. Now I'm going to go ahead and put them in my stacker. Once I feel comfortable that they're stacked, I'm going to go ahead and make my dubbing loop. And I'm going to run my thread forward and out of the way. Get my spinner so that everything's ready on the dubbing loop. And before I take the hair out of the stacker, I need to get a material clip. This material clip is bigger than what you need for this fly, but it's what I have. So now I'm carefully, look at that, perfect. They came out perfect. I'm going to carefully, I almost don't even want to touch them. I think right now I'm just going to capture them in my clip. Perfect. Look at that. That came out perfect. So from here, I'm going to go to my material loop, my dubbing loop, I'm sorry. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to trim this off. Gosh, I almost skipped a step. I don't want a lot. I'm just going to have about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch out of the material clip. I have about, I don't know, a little more than 1/8 on each side. So now I'm going to go to my dubbing loop, which I kind of feel like I made it a little too long. But that's okay. We will make this work. And I'm going to start spinning this up. by making it too long. I have to spin like crazy. Just like that. Ooh, the thread broke on my dubbing loop. That was not good. Maybe I can save this somehow. If I could find the end. If I could find the end, I can save it. Gosh, that's a first. I'm gonna have to quickly get a hackle plier going here. Wow, I've never had that happen. I guess now I have no choice. I need to use the rotary function. I need to carefully put a couple loops behind. The only thing I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to give it this leggy look underneath. Couple of loops behind. Bring the yarn back. Now I get in front of the yarn. And just a couple of loops in front of the yarn. Wow, what a save that was. I got really lucky here, guys. I normally can maybe I can let this hang. I normally can let that hang while I capture, I think I captured it. Because I want to draw everything back. Wow, I got lucky. Lucky, lucky, lucky. And once you feel like you've captured it, and I do, you can cut off that loop. Whew. Can't believe how lucky I got there. So the last thing I'm gonna do is, well, now it's a whip finish, and then I do trim the legs a little. So let me just put a whip finish in this before something else breaks. It's actually normally a very simple fly, and I normally don't have that big a problem. Cut off my thread. So now I don't really want legs above the fly. So anything on top I pretty much automatically trim off. Just like that. I do want the legs under. And I try to like force them to go in each direction. And most of the legs under, I just let them be there. Anything that's like wildly coming off to the top, that's what I trim. Then the only remaining thing to trim is the actual wing themselves. Alright, so for the wing, what I like to do is I like to put both of them straight up. I come under with my fingers, and I use the natural curl of my fingers to make the round shape. Just comb out the yarn a little, make the yarn look a little bit more straight. And now I'm just going to use the natural curl of my fingers to give the yarn that shape that I'm looking for. Following my fingers, just like that. And I'll give you another tip. I think that it's better to leave them a little long and do the fine trimming when you're at the water. When you can actually see what the size of the flies are, or what the size that you want to imitate on that particular day. Takes a second to trim yarn if you think they're too long. But you can give them a little extra, you know, just to make them look pretty. But there it is. That fly came out awesome. See if I can show it to you. I might trim just a little more. But there it is. It's a Mayfly Spent Spinner. We have three fibers for the tail, which I will help them splay a little here. And anything that's like too much, I mean, if it's just too much, of course, trim. Feel free to come in and do a little bit of minor trimming. But I like the legginess of this fly. I like having it look a little bit buggy. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Super simple tie, even when your dubbing loop breaks. I think that this fly comes out great, super easy to tie, super inexpensive, and tie up a dozen or so. I've sat here for just a few minutes and I've tied up 4 in just a few minutes. If I had more hands, I would show you. And these guys are great. They're super effective and a ton of fun. You know, if you're out on the right day, these are great. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and see you on the next video.